Excellent. So let's see here. I need to actually add you to my stat sheet now. So how much armor does that give you total?
3, if I did that correctly.
All right. So, what race are you?
Human, the only one for paladins.
And your alignment?
Interesting.
Lawful.
Of course.
Deny mercy to a criminal or unbeliever.
So, Paladin D Red with a helmet. Let's see if people catch up on that eventually. Who is lawful? You have your
I
starting
am the law.
moves. So you have quests that you can dedicate
Fabulous.
yourself to. You have the move "I am the law," which I'm sure you'll use ridiculously.
This is fabulous.
I had a listen when I had the get together with my cousins. One of them was a paladin, and repeatedly used "I am the law," hoping that eventually someone they used it on would do what they said. And I was like, "You're talking to a gnoll. They hate you. They've been trying to kill you for hours, and you want them to do what you want. No, they're going to attack you." It was only after a few minutes I figured out finally they were just abusing using "I am the law" to get +1 forward against opponents.
Oh.
So
And
that they
the
could hit
truth
more
comes
easily.
out.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. So now we figure out your gear here, which I believe you said you have your scale armor.
Yep.
You
some
chose
dungeon
longsword and
versions.
shield.
I did. Then I also chose the adventuring gear.
Excellent. Good choice. Solid choice there. Let's talk about bonds.
Yes.
So, you will fill in the name of one of the companions you have here into those slots. Bonds are a way to get EXP. At the end of the session, I'm going to ask if you feel you've resolved bonds with anyone, and you can resolve 1 bond for 1 EXP per session. And that means the bond is no longer true or relevant. So when you take a bond, it's about something that is true and relevant now.
Okay.
So
Well-
just figure out who you want to bond with, and by the same choice, Frederick William Mayfield XIV and Ella Domre will also need to pick bonds with you. So I feel like you can give us some backstory to your character, Lawman. And then Frederick William Mayfield and Ella Domre can both fill us in on theirs. And then we'll pick bonds.
D. Red was a young man when he became enraptured with the law. He found comfort in its strictures and its codes, and how when you followed it, you could fit in with society, and came to revile those who broke the law, and found pleasure in actually, rather kind of cruelly, enforcing it upon them.
Are you Talden?
Yes.
All right. Frederick William Mayfield XIV, why don't you fill us in on the public part of your backstory real quick?
Sure. My character is Frederick William Mayfield XIV. He's of course a bard. The bard, that is. He comes
bard.
from a long line of bards. 13 of them before him, in fact.
Oh my.
And he is from a minor Talden noble family, the Mayfields of Opera. And they are the keepers of secret ancient knowledge. The family is.
And Ella Domre, who the hell are you?
Eladamri is the elven fighter who carries with him a very odd-looking spear that doesn't quite look like it was forged so much as a bit of star metal that's been attached to the end of a pole. And, well, the public part of his story isn't really much. Frederick William Mayfield has learned a little bit about his past, but other than that, he seems like a wandering fighter, mercenary type person. Really, there's not much you can tell by looking at him, and he doesn't really enjoy talking about his past that much. And Frederick William Mayfield has already discovered some bits of info as to why. But I think it's going to be more fun if Mr. Dredd finds out during play.
All right, so let's do some bonds.
So the reason I asked if you were Talden is I think, picking another Bond from the Bard list, that I sang songs of Judge D. Red long before I ever met him in person.
I feel like you've used that one before, didn't you?
I have not.
Okay.
I am writing a ballad of the Adventures of Inkaresh is the one I used before.
Let me ask, what songs have you sung of Judge D. Red?
I have sung songs of him being a figure of great high character and preserving the traditional Talden.
Oh, man. You know, I was hoping that you were going to say that he's a man of the people, because then we could have done a whole Janestown episode where there's a small village dedicated just to Red and there's a statue of him.
Well, we could go that way, too, if you'd prefer. I'll leave that up to Michael, whether he's a man of the people or a man of the state.
Definitely a man of the state.
Oh, okay. All right.
That was the feeling I was getting from the backstory. So.
Just saying, I really like Janestown. It's probably the best episode.
It is the best episode. There's no debate there.
It's awesome.
The man they call Jane.
Turn around that plane. Then that money hit the sky. All right, so that's your bond with Red. Eladamre, do you have a bond with Red that you've picked out yet?
Still trying to figure out...
All right, you don't have to pick one on your sheet, by the way. You can just make one up.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out... I mean... I guess maybe if Frederick William has sung tales of him and told me some stories about, you know, the heroes of his homeland, that might give me some sort of information about him, because, you know, it was easier with the other people because we'd established that we, you know, actually met.
This will give him a reason to be in the party that I'm going to totally fanboy out over him, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to know if he measures up to the song sung about him. Which is, you've got a fanboy there that's...
Well, that's a good question. What are the songs sung about you specifically? Like, are they like, yes, he's a man-if-I character. Do you hold up to that, Red? Are you a man-if-I character?
No, I mean, you know, Frederick William Mayfield is like total fanboy. Like, this guy is so awesome and everything. And I'm like...
The epitome of all things Talden order.
Yeah, Red is basically the Taylor Swift of Taldor.
He is a man of bruising stature. He breaks no violation of law or code.
So you think that's a bond that would work, Arthur?
What's the bond specifically?
Basically, after hearing so many stories about this D. Red character that Frederick William likes harping on about, I wonder if he can hold up to the...
okay, yeah. That sounds like a bond. Write it down. So here's the thing, Michael. You actually get to say the target of the bond has to agree with it. So,
okay.
Are you okay with both of the bonds that you've been given so far?
I am.
Excellent. And what bonds would you like to give out to your compatriots?
Would it make sense for Eladamri if he would have stood by Red in battle at some point, being a mercenary? Whether he knew Red or not at the time.
I've been around for a while, and fought many a battle. I could have fought in a battle with you and not realized who you were. That would make sense.
Okay. Would you say you could be trusted completely from when that might have happened?
But that's your point of view.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's your point of view. So the whole thing would be, Eladamri has stood by me in battle and can be trusted completely. That's what you believe.
Okay.
And when that's no longer true or relevant, then you get XP for it.
All right. And then Frederick William Mayfield's misguided behavior endangers their very soul.
Oh, shit.
Another one! I love it!
You're like, hey, fanboy, stop
All
being
those-
a dick.
All those dark arcane secrets, you have to be careful.
You
That's-
have no idea.
So awesome.
Very relevant to this campaign so far.
All right.
So, Judge Red, you join their holy quest in search of saving these elderly adventurers. And so I think we're going to pick up just outside of town, where an old man wearing a loincloth and has twigs and berries in his hair, like dirty, dirty hair, hasn't been washed in days. His body's covered with like mud and probably feces. He's carrying a very fine walking stick, and he's approaching you and saying, "Stop there, travelers! Stop there!"
Quick question, Arthur. I have a bond slot to fill in because of Enkarash's departure. I need to fill
You have
in
3
up-
bonds, right?
Yeah.
Right now. Or you have 2 bonds.
You
You can add
3.
another bond if you would like.
Can I add a bond with Mobby because he's interesting?
No, it has to be a player character.
Oh. Okay. Let's think of something cool for
All
Frederick.
right, well, you can think about that, and then just let me know before the break.
Okay.
So this old man's approaching you. He's like, "Stop there! Stop there!"
Would his state and being out here make him guilty of vagrancy?
No, you're outside town limits.
What do you want?
He says, aha. I've been trying to get your attention.
You have it.
You have it?
My name," he slams his staff down,
Is Tim.
"is Brother Zagnos. I must
Okay.
apologize for my state. I was robbed a few hours ago, and then they pushed me down into the mud and had their horse poop on me.
That
I'm actually quite a well-respected wild walker in these parts."
Does
That
the name
sounds-
ring a bell at all?
I don't know, does it?
I don't
Brother
know.
Zagnos, it rings a bell to me. He was looking for some help, I believe.
Is he a important hero of the past?
You could say that. In his old days. He's trending towards middle age now. When he was younger, there are many tales of him. Yes. Is there something you'd like to activate?
I would like to activate my Bardic Lore Legends of Heroes of the Past move. When you encounter an important creature, I can ask you a question about it. What was his most famous adventure?
His most famous adventure was his first one. As a young man, Zaganos walked into the Verdun forest to put an end to fiendish cultists of a relatively unknown goddess of undeath, and slew all of them with but a single twig and his ingenuity and a teacup. And he walked back out of the forest with not a scratch on him, despite walking out of a bramble patch.
Was the teacup intact?
It was not. It was smashed flat.
Okay.
That's impressive, especially considering what these bandits did to him.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to meet these bandits.
What tale, song, or story did you hear
I
this from?
believe I probably read about this in the esoteric tales of that otherwise unknown goddess.
Ah, of course. What was the name of that book? The
Well,
Esoteric Tales of the Unknown Goddess?
yes, we'll go with it. I was going to say,
Okay.
do we know the name of the goddess, or is that
Uh,
irrelevant?
I think that for now it's just going to be called the Unknown Goddess.
Then,
Like,
yes, it's the
at the time
esoteric
it was
tales of the
written,
unknown goddess.
at the time it was written, she was relatively unknown, and she's sort of risen to fame recently, but
Okay.
for the most part. So he kind of looks you over and says, "Well, you seem to be the adventuring sort. How can I help you, or how can you help
You
me?"
just asked us to help you with the vagrants, the bandits that assaulted you.
Oh, they weren't vagrants.
I know, that's why I corrected
Just
myself and said
bandits.
bandits.
Yes, well, no. Don't worry about the bandits. They're fine. That just happens.
Bandits are
Bandits
against
are
the
not fine.
bandits are against the law.
Well,
Judge Red, what say you about banditry in Taldor?
listen. There's much.
You should hunt them down.
No, there's way more important stuff going on than bandits. There is an imbalance in the natural order of the forest. The flora and the fauna of the Verduin forest has been upset in some way. Do any of you have any pipe leaf on you?
Would that be
Actually,
I might. Let me check.
Halfling pipe leaf is an actual item.
No.
right?
nope.
That's not
But like
illegal.
pets. Okay.
Yeah. I have herbs, but not
He's like-
that kind of.
If you give me those herbs, I could apply them to myself, and perhaps I might feel better.
Would they make you smell better?
He says, "Oh, that's just the fecal matter. No, the mud should not smell at all. I rub myself in mud so wild animals wouldn't attack me.
Ah,
That
Well,
sounds
that makes sense.
horrible.
I'm a wild
But,
walker. It's what I do. It's not horrible at all."
but he does appear injured. As
Yeah. Yeah, he looks like he got roughed up a bit. Looks like a horse might have kicked him in the chest.
Ow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, if Mr. Frederick Willem here fills me in that he's on the level and some hero guy, like sure, here. Have some herbs, take
Oh,
care of that
thank
chest
you.
wound of yours.
Thank you so much. Yes, I know how to apply these. Yes, good herbs there. Kingsfoil. Yes. I feel better already. And he kind of breathes deeply and he's like, "Yeah, that's minty smoothness." Excellent. Well, so I've been speaking with some of my brethren, and now they aren't speaking anymore. The messengers of the forest, our Fox network, the Fox News, is no longer delivering information between the wild walkers of Verduin. I just need someone to go inside and make sure everything's okay. I mean, there's been capricious Fae about for years, and then there's the thing with, the Andorian loggers, but it's normally pretty fine. Nothing's been happening lately until now, and it got bad quickly. There are a couple strange beasts in the forest, however. A creature that seems to be made out of a dead tree, an elk that can set things on fire with its mind, and a water serpent. If you could kill them or capture them and bring them back to me for study, I could figure out where they came from. Obviously, I would prefer them alive, but dead is fine too, I guess.
Does
You
this
have
actually
any-
sound reasonable for the area?
No. They're clearly, these kind of beasts are... An elk that can set things on fire with their mind? No.
I'm like, you sure he kicked you in the chest?
Yes, I've never heard of an elk setting things on fire with its mind before.
That
I think
is
you've
certain.
been taking too much with your herbs.
So,
That's-
Mobby unfolds himself.
Oh God,
His 6.5 feet of
is he only six?
Mawangi
He's shrunk.
darkness.
He
What?
shrunk? He
How
was
tall
I
like-
was
thought he
he
was
before?
like 7 feet tall.
He's 7 feet tallness, and he's like, "This man clearly needs us to do good. If there is an elk that can set things on fire with its mind, we must help him."
Well, yeah, it's true. Yeah, that seems like a reasonable thing to do.
So Mabi like pulls out a blanket from his pack and says, "Brother Zaganos, take my blanket. You are in need of it. Do not enter the town limits without it on. Otherwise someone might arrest you for vagrancy." And then he kind of steps back behind the rest of you to kind of glower or glare, whatever Mabi normally does.
I look back at him like, hey man, give me some credit for the herbs here. I'm doing good too. Of course we'll deal with this, but
Yes,
we have a
you have
we
done
have a
well so far, except
we
for
ha-
the part where you attempted to explain that this man had been kicked in the head rather than the chest.
well, he talked about an elk setting things on fire with his mind.
Yeah, that's just crazy talk.
But a
mean,
few hours ago, didn't you have a wizard dancing in the middle of a square trying to contact a deceased father, waving about a knife?
Yeah, and that also
What?
made no sense to me.
He threatens civilians.
that's why he's being detained by the police.
Good.
For summoning the undead.
Yeah, it was a minor misunderstanding, but well, I'm sure he'll get that cleared up soon enough. Yeah, you're right. Do we have a map of the area? I don't suppose we'll be going through the Verduran forest to reach this retirement home.
So, his
That'll
brother
be really
Zaganos is
convenient.
like, "Oh, you're going to the retirement home. You mean the Mother's Care something. Yes, it's in Hope's Hollow. It's about an hour east. No, if you want to go to the Verduin Forest, you should go that way." And he points to a sign that says, "Verduin Forest, this way," at a nearby fork that's like 10 feet from you. But the camera only shifts now to show that it's there.
Of course.
It's like the T-Rex in Jurassic Park.
Well,
Obviously, it was standing there the whole time. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been able to fit through that hole.
obviously. Now, if I remember correctly, the two elderly, the elderly couple went to the Verduran forest, didn't they? Wasn't that where they were supposed to meet the supposed kidnapper?
But there's Agnes is like, "What are you talking about? What elderly couple? Kidnapper? Why would someone go to meet a kidnapper?"
To pay ransom.
Foolishly.
And I'm trying to remember because it was about a month ago.
Yes.
The note they got, it was about meeting somebody to
It was
pay a
to meet
ransom.
No, it wasn't to pay ransom. It was to go meet with their friend Tarragon Flynn in the forest. For their
Tarragon
yearly
Flynn being
meeting.
the mysterious alchemist.
Oh, wait. Why do you go
And
to
I
all
believe
that
we were
trouble?
going to stop by the retirement home and check on the other fellow on our way to that meeting.
Durn
Yeah.
Azimuth, yes.
Go there, then go to the forest. So yeah, I mean,
But perhaps we should simply...
So while you're talking, Brother Zagnos is like, "This sounds very important and all that, but the really important thing, the extremely important thing, is the natural balance of the Verduin forest. Please, you must carry out my quest as soon as possible.
Is
Yeah.
this man paying us for something specifically?
I have various things I could reward you with back in my house."
Is there a signed contract for a specific course of action here?
He says, "I reject your societal concept of contracts. We have a verbal agreement which is good enough for wild walkers."
Then there is nothing here for us other than what we decide to do.
Yeah, if the judge here says we need a contract, then... Wait, we're not in Cheliax.
Brother Zaganos is like, "I will find some other more competent adventurers.
No,
You don't
we'll
need
find
documentation."
We'll find your elk,
Look.
I'm sure.
look, we're going through the Verduran forest. We'll try and do everything at once, but we seem to have a lot of important
Projects on our
things.
plate.
It seems to be that there's a lot of important things going on exactly now, which is annoying.
Do you know where you're going in the Verduin forest?
Not a clue. We're just sort of going to do what
Well, the
adventurers
note had
normally do.
some directions in it, didn't it?
It did? Oh, that would be really helpful. I thought it didn't. Couldn't
We're going
remember.
to
Tristeza.
Tristeza house.
He's like, oh my. Well, you can certainly solve all of my problems before getting to Tristeza House. It's on the complete other side of the forest, on the Taldan border. It's almost 3 days in.
Oh!
Is that true? Would this be a spout lore or something?
It would be a spout lore. You could also attempt to see if he's lying by using reading the situation, discerning realities.
Just wisdom.
But
right?
spout lore is fine.
Let's do a discerning realities instead.
All right, discern these realities.
All right.
Mark
Could I
one experience point.
Could I spout lore on this as a Taldan?
Yes.
That's int or whiz, I can't remember.
Spout lore is it.
Yeah.
What'd you get?
9.
All right, good. I have to tell you something interesting but not useful, correct?
Yes.
It's on you to make it useful.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, I'm having to scroll back to my GM moves for
It's all right.
how to mess with Michael. Tristeza House has been owned by many different owners over the last few hundred years. It's rather infamous for people who own it to die very shortly after getting it, and then it gets decrepit, and then someone excitedly buys it because it's in a nice vacation spot, and then they die shortly after, and it goes decrepit again, and then someone buys it and refurbishes it, and then it goes to shit.
Sounds like a lovely place.
So you've learned something interesting. It's on here to make it useful.
Yeah. Changes
So-
owners a lot.
It's a horrible place. Awesome. Well, Mr. Zaganov, it looks like we'll be going through the entirety of the forest then. In which case, I don't see any problem with trying to deal with the problem of an unbalance in nature along the way. But we are going to Tristeza House and back, so yeah, don't expect those specimens until after like a week then.
All right.
And don't expect them alive. We don't actually have any way of transporting alive.
That is, unless you wish to come with us. We will deal with the specimens and give them to you in person if you travel with us.
Oh no, I have very important business I must attend to.
I mean, how exactly would
But-
we?
A
How
bath.
is it more important than the balance of the forest?
If I
You said
could
yourself.
do it myself, I would.
No, I'm saying come with us. Like 5.
I need a
better
bath
than-
and probably several days of bed rest. I was just kicked by a horse.
He does
I
need a
also
bath.
need several days of bed rest, and you don't see me complaining.
He's like, when you get to be my age, Sonny. When I was your age, people wrote stories about me. Who are you?
I'm Frederick William Mayfield the 14th.
I've never heard of you.
Surely you've heard of the Mayfield family.
Nope.
Well,
He just starts walking away. So I want to let you know what's happening, transparency-wise. Red, as a result of something happening over the next few minutes as you're traveling, like maybe your backpack gets snagged on a tree or something, you lose one use of your adventuring gear. So like something falls out when you're not looking.
speaking of gear,
Yes.
what does a healing potion do in Dungeon World?
Why, if you wanted to know that, you could look in your Dungeon World PDF, or you could check at www.dungeonworldsrd.com.
It gives 10 HP.
You could just let Red tell you.
I could, or I could have looked it up in Dungeon World, I suppose.
Yeah, you could have.
The reason I ask the comment to the druid about I could use bed rest too is because I have 3 hit points right now. So
Nobody's fault but
Do you look frazzled?
Not once I drink this healing potion that I'm carrying. That's why I asked about said healing potion.
Nonsense. I shall lay my hands on you.